Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Keeper of the Home podcast. I'm Cami, creator of the blog and YouTube channel TIDBITS Company. Thank you for joining me on this podcast. I believe we're on episode 5, which is super exciting. Just starting this gig, and every little bit of progress is really exciting for me. So thank you for joining me. Today we are going to talk about what you can do when you hate your home. So if you clicked on this video, I'm guessing you might have some feelings of discontent sometimes about your home. And I've been there multiple times with you. Currently, it still creeps in. So I have some ideas and suggestions that I am really hoping will help you move through these feelings of discontent. And just to make sure you are aware, you can always find my podcast episodes over on my YouTube channel, TIDBITS Company. They're woven in there with all my other visual videos and tutorials and other fun videos that I like to make and share over on YouTube. You can also watch the video podcast on Spotify. And then if you're just an audio podcast kind of person, that's great too. I'm right there with you. So if you just like to plug in some headphones or prop up your phone while you're doing your work of keeping your home, I am very grateful that you would take me along with you, and I hope to make your time very valuable, or even more valuable than it already is. So anyway, we're talking about those moments when we are really sick of our environment, the 4 walls that we call our home. And I really don't want you to sit in those feelings for too long, because they can really affect how you treat others, or how you look at your home, or how you look at your role as the keeper of your home. So no matter our situation, we really don't want to let those feelings fester, and we don't want to let them keep. So I hope that my 5 ideas for you are going to help you move through these feelings and find a little more hope in your situation. When I was actually thinking about talking about this topic, I actually wondered if maybe I shouldn't be the one to talk about it, because what I actually share on my blog and social media and my YouTube channel is usually the pretty photos of my home, the highlight reels, right? The ones where the home is all put together. And I do often share the construction zones and the befores and the afters, so you see that it's not always there. But I worry that someone out there listening may think, what do you know about hating your home? Your home's beautiful. And I work really hard to make it beautiful and to share that inspiration with you, because I love decorating. I love design. I love creating a beautiful and functional space for my family, and I love sharing that. However, I have been in many homes and in many seasons of life and still find myself there where I have not enjoyed my home. We have lived in chaos, quite frankly, frequently, and I've had to work through these feelings as well. And I'll actually share some of these situations, not that I feel like I need to give you proof or anything, but hopefully in sharing what we've had to live through will help this be a little more relatable for you. So the first home, like the first actual home that we had that we could actually do things with, was the home that I started blogging in, and we called it the White House because I painted everything white. Still sometimes do. I love just fresh and clean. And at that time, white was definitely in. So that was the first home where we were like digging roots in and wanting to stay in this community. But when we bought it, it was dark, kind of gloomy, did not feel like my vibes, and I wanted to change everything about it. So we began the work of doing that. Now, I shared those pictures. That's really kind of what got me known in the blogosphere. And I feel like we did a good job making that home beautiful, but it was a very long process. It probably took us 5 years at least to get it to where I felt actually proud of it and enjoyed it. And in that time, we were just living in chaos. Things were always being torn apart, and we didn't have money to fix it or do what we wanted, so we just had to wait. So it was just, plus we had littles and like littles, and you know, they tend to destroy a room pretty quickly. And there were always toys strewn about, and I found myself many times not liking my home and wishing my situation was different in that home. And I look back and I think, how sad, because it really was such a fun process to make that house our home. Now, we had put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and our precious meager dollars into every space in that home. And then, of course, we decided to sell it, right? That's how it goes. You finish a home and then sell. Anyway, we did sell that house because we were buying property. We were finally going to get out of the little cul-de-sac and get our 25 acres of land for a screaming deal. But it was starting all over, and we didn't have anywhere to go once we sold that. So what we did was we actually moved into a rental to kind of figure out what we were going to do next. And this rental was definitely not my style, but I couldn't do anything about it. I mean, you can, but I couldn't paint the walls. It was so dark in there, and it was temporary, so I didn't want to put too much effort into that home. So again, I found myself in a rental home that I hated, was stuck there for a year, had to look at every finish and all the furnishings that did not go, and I felt a lot of discontent in that year, even though now I look back and think, man, I wish I would have just enjoyed living in a home where we didn't have a giant list of projects to do every night. We actually could relax. So I wish I would have enjoyed that phase a little more. And I'm curious if there's any of you following me along that knows what happened next in our lives. This one was an adventure. Don't recommend it. We decided to renovate an RV and live in that while we built a home. Yeah, with 6 people. It was cozy. And honestly, the RV was beautiful. It actually made it into the Better Homes and Gardens magazine with my photos and everything. I was so proud of that, but it was an RV. It was tight, it was congested. It stank. It was an RV. Living in it with 6 people. It was not pleasant. And let me tell you, there were many, many times I was very discontent with that tiny home on wheels, even though I look back now and think, what tender memories. What an exciting time for my kids to see and experience, and to recognize what mom and dad will do in order to chase their dreams. All right, now we're here in our pole barn home, which is what my husband has built himself from the ground up. It has been a true labor of love, and I don't think it'll ever be finished. So we've been here for 4 years, and it has been a very slow process. If you saw my YouTube video where I did a move-in tour, or my blog post of the state of this home when we moved in, I look back at the pictures and I cannot believe I lived through that. I must just be blanking it out of my mind because it was a little traumatic. But like, we got a sink in, didn't have countertops, so we got plywood and stapled contact paper on top of them to get us through. Half the home was still just concrete floors that were disgusting, and it was that way for a while. We had 1 bathroom for all 6 of us, and it was hardly even finished. Basically a sink and a toilet and a shower. I mean, it was rough. And for the past 4 years, we have slowly been making progress on finishing each and every space, and that's what I love sharing on my blog and YouTube channel. And I love how it's turning out. But I often find myself thinking, like, I hate this layout. I hate how open it is. I actually hate the 12-foot ceilings. There's like, I could sit and nitpick everything that I wish we would have done differently all day long if I allowed myself. And that's going to lead to a lot of feelings of discontent. And I don't want to sit there. So I've really had to work through these feelings. And if I'm being honest, I'm making this podcast for me. If you happen to get something out of it, great. But I'm here trying to work through all these feelings of discontent and finding gratitude in this moment where I am at right now. Now, we actually have finished all the interior spaces of this home. Finally, that happened this year when I shared our butler's pantry. That was the final space. However, like, our porch is still unfinished, and we're trying to save up the pennies to make sure we can get that done the way we want to. And we have zero landscaping. It's for 4 years, my kids have not had a yard. We just have piles of dirt everywhere. I hope I'm not coming across as complaining too much here, but I just want to share with you that it doesn't matter the situation. If we're looking for things to complain about, we will find it. And that's really not very helpful to help us love our home and really lean into the role of being the keeper of our home and enjoying it no matter how things look around us. And I actually have thought about doing this podcast because as of late, I've found myself kind of being reprimanded as I've complained about things, like especially outside. I just tell my husband, I just want pretty things. I'm so drawn to aesthetically pleasing things, and my eyes just ache to have everything finished. I just want to like decorate instead of have to remodel or finish a space. And I was complaining too much to my husband, which is so ungrateful of me because he has worked his tail off and put so much effort into every corner of this home. And when I realized what I was doing to him and to my own heart, I knew it had to stop. And I knew that I had actually worked through these feelings before in all the situations I just explained to you. And it is possible to love your home. And maybe you're in the same situation. Maybe you're in a fixer-upper. Maybe you're just in some builder-grade basic home. Maybe you're in a home that's not your style. Maybe you're in the same situation and the budget's tight and everything construction is extremely expensive right now and it just can't be where you put your money. So you're probably there or been there or will be there. So let's talk about what we can do. And I think before you really want to make some lasting change here in these feelings, you really have to recognize why you're feeling ungrateful. And I have some theories based on what I've experienced or what I'm seeing about why we might be feeling discontent in our home. And I think you'll all agree with me here that comparison is stilling our joy. We live in a world where we can view beautiful, perfect homes at any given time with a device in our pocket, and it's appealing, and those homes are lovely, and they all seem put together, and then we compare it to our own life, and that is a surefire way to feel very discontent with your home. I think about when I'd watch her kind of like get new rugs or new furniture and spruce up the home. I don't think that was like totally her thing, but I think she enjoyed keeping her home, but I loved it. I loved seeing what changes she would make. It was definitely in my blood. But I think about when she did that, like, what did she have to inspire her? And I think at most there was like JCPenney magazines. I remember looking through those for hours, and I would see that she would like buy a bedroom collection, and that was her inspiration. That's all she had to compare to. Or maybe she went to other people's homes and visited with them. And I think that's different when you actually step your feet into someone else's home and to see how they've created their abode, and you know the person and you understand more of their life. And so you can appreciate it rather than compare so much. But when we're seeing all these beautifully curated feeds or Pinterest images or blogs with this home that we view as perfect and we compare it against our own, I think we're always going to feel like we're not measuring up. So be really careful when you find yourself in that comparison zone, because it's not going to help you overcome these feelings of hating your home. And just so you know, you're not a terrible person if you find yourself a victim to this comparison game. I think everyone falls into this trap. I remember when I was growing up, we went over to my hairdresser's house. We went to the same lady all through my childhood, sweetest lady in the world. And when I would go to use her bathroom, when we were there for hours working through all of our haircuts, I remember she had the most perfectly folded towels. They were color coordinated. They'd look like they'd never been touched. They were plush, and she would layer them, and they were perfectly folded, and I was always nervous to dry my hands on them because they were so beautiful. Anyway, I remember thinking that when I was a new mom, and boy, it was just a struggle to get your kids just to hang up the towel from the floor. And even now, the towels are always on the floor, not even close to being perfectly folded. And if I would sit and compare myself to my hairdresser's life, whom all of her kids were out of the house, and she could manage her home while doing haircuts. Like, if I'm comparing my situation with hers, yeah, I'm going to be unhappy. But if I just appreciate that I have a pretty hook on the wall and that I can quickly hang up a towel if I need to, that's as good as it's going to get. I can still love my home. So you can even compare in real life with someone else's home or online. Either way, it's not going to lead to very much happiness and gratitude for your own space. Now, the other theory I have why we tend to fall into this place of not liking our home is that we live in a world of instant gratification, and keeping a home is just not that way. It really just takes time to get a space how you want it. But so often we're seeing on social media, especially with reels, they have the before space and then bam, just like that, it's finished, styled to perfection. And you think, boy, I've been trying to work on this room for a year and it's not even there. Why is it so fast for them? Just remember, you're not living real life online, and likely those homes that happen in the blink of an eye have actually taken a lot of time to work through, or they're just styling an image for you, and it's not actually how they're going to use the space. So just be really careful about feeling like it happens really fast. Creating a home takes time, and I would say creating a home that has personality and works well for your family especially takes more time. You're going to want to curate things and make it interesting, and that takes time. And just remember that the best things in life really do take time. When I was feeling impatient about our landscaping, we were talking about this, and I was speaking with my brother-in-law, Jed, and I remember he mentioned how his parents, all growing up, they just had a gravel driveway. And now that the kids were all gone out of the house, they had some money, and it was a priority to actually pour concrete and asphalt on this driveway. And he remembers how bad his mother wanted that, but it took a long time for that to happen. And in this world, we're used to seeing homes just blow up from the ground and be finished what seems like overnight. And sometimes that's just not reality, especially if you live the do-it-yourself life. So be patient. We're all a work in progress, even our homes. And then another theory of why you might not be liking your home at this moment is maybe it really is that bad. Okay, I've been in the home that is really that bad. There's very few things that I can actually enjoy about it. And just know that this is a season of your life, and we're going to talk about some ways that you can work through that. But I just encourage you, no matter what, to just try to cultivate that spirit of gratitude for your current situation. When we bought this land, I remember just every time we came up to this property, I would just cry tears of gratitude. It was like the first big thing that we needed to make our dreams come true. And I was so grateful for just the land, just the dirt. And then I sit here and I think about that. I wonder, how can I be so ungrateful now that we actually have this house up? It's super comfortable. It's beautiful. And I'm just stuck on it not being completely finished. Just know that these feelings, we're all human. We can work through them and find gratitude in the situation, even if there's very, very little to be thankful for. Okay, so let's dive into these 5 suggestions I have for you that you can do if you find that you do not love your home. Okay, the first thing, and this is like in order for me, like this is the first thing you should do when you're feeling stuck like that. And I think you should give your home a good clean. This is a free and quickly effective way to love your home a little more. Sometimes The feelings of discontent come just because there may be too much clutter. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed with the dirt and the grime building up. And if you can just take the time to give your home a good clean, it can change your perspective so much. It always works for me when I feel like, oh, our home is just disgusting. Like I've said those things and I can't believe I do. It just means I need to give it some attention. And that is not wasted time. That is actually probably the best use of your time when you're feeling that way. To pause, scrub it, mop the floors, get rid of some of the clutter, and underneath it, I think you'll find a home that you actually really do love. All right, the second thing I suggest for you is to reorganize or rearrange something in your home. Look through drawers or cabinets. Think about a room that maybe if you moved a dresser over on that wall and the bed over here, what would that do? I feel like sometimes when we're stuck, we just need a change of scene, and reorganizing a space or rearranging a space can really offer us that new perspective. It kind of forces your brain to think about your home in a different light, and that very act is going to help you switch out the negative thinking and turn it into action and into something positive and just something that you're really excited about. So I find when I'm stuck there, if I can just look at a room and think, what could I do to make this function better? Or what could I do to kind of refresh this and bring new life? I don't even have to buy anything. I don't need a new rug. I don't need new pillow covers. Maybe let's just rearrange something. Or take something off. Maybe it needs some editing. Just that new perspective is so powerful. Go ahead and give it a try. All right, my third suggestion for you is to just show your home some love. And this can look a few different ways. But I want you to think, like, what happens when a child or a friend is really struggling and they're in need of some extra love and attention? What do? Well, we try to give it to them. We try to meet them where they are with their needs, and we try to cheer them up a little. Well, you can look at your home the same way. It may be feeling sad for you. So what can you do? Just give it more attention. So I was inspired to think this way from a reel that I saw on Instagram. Oh, I wish I could remember the feed for you, but it was kind of a random one. But this family obviously lived in a very old farmhouse, was homesteading, and I could see actually their kitchen, it was old. I mean, nothing was new and shiny about it, and they were probably doing the best they could. It definitely wasn't like magazine worthy. But she talked about how to love your home, and she gave a suggestion like, I've really hated my sink area. So what she did was she got out a can of paint, painted the cabinet underneath the sink to kind of cover up the old grossness, put some bins and baskets in there to organize the things that go under the sink. And just like that, she loved her kitchen again. It just needed a little bit of love and a little bit of attention. And then she found more content right there with just a very simple little project. So maybe some things like a new paint job or a new refresh or new pillow covers. Or here's my favorite suggestion, fresh flowers. A good clean and fresh flowers is like a surefire way to just love a space, to pour some love into it, to appreciate it, and just feel like you're doing what you can in your current situation. I love the mantra of where your focus goes, the energy flows. So if you want to put really good energy and good vibes out there into your home for yourself and for your family, just show it more love, give it more energy, give it more thought. And I think you'll find that to be really helpful. Okay, the fourth thing I've touched on a little bit, but it's just be grateful. And sometimes this is way easier said than done. But as I've reprimanded myself lately for complaining about our home and situation, I actually do a little practice where I just pull out a notebook and write down the things I'm grateful for about my house. That really helps. The simple act of being grateful, recognizing it, can completely change your outlook in almost any situation. So I always think about that story of, is it Corrie ten Boom? how she shares that they were living in this situation where they were infested with fleas, and I'm sure it was just absolutely miserable, but she was giving prayers of gratitude for the fleas because it actually meant that the soldiers stayed away from them and didn't harm them. So really, that story always pricks in my heart. We truly can be grateful in any situation. It may take some work, but it can be done. Fifth and final suggestion for you today is to just have hope. Have hope that your situation will change. Have hope that even very small changes will make a massive impact over time. I just find it amazing that as we've worked on this home room by room, and then I look back at where we started, I just cannot believe what we've actually accomplished in 4 years. Most of the time my husband was working his 9-to-5 job and I'm trying to run this business and homeschool. But I look at what all these small things have added up to be, and I'm just amazed. So be encouraged and have hope that even your smallest efforts to change your home situation, if it needs it, will make a big difference. And then really another way to have more hope is to think about the hearts in your home. Do they really care about your home being Pinterest perfect or styled to perfection? Is it really going to make a difference on your relationship with them? Do they care about your home that you're creating as much as your love? When this time passes and all is said and done, what are they really going to remember and what's going to mean the most? So if you can hang on to that hope, I really think it can help you get through these feelings of discontent that you might be experiencing for your own home. Well, that's all I have for you today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to glean what information you needed from it to find more happiness in your situation and love your home. And I will be back very soon to share more inspiration for the keeper of the home.